Awesome. So for today, we have, also professors, we're recording this so we can use it in the future. But yeah, we got some transfer students here, and then obviously the recording will go as well. Thank you all for being here. If you could just quickly take your time, but introduce yourself, your name, what department you teach in, and how long have you been working at Goshen College? I'll like point, that'd be better. Jeanette, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Schoen. I'm Associate Professor of Computing Science, and I'm located in the Math and Computing Science program here at Goshen College. Welcome.
Thanks. Eliza?
Hi, I'm Elisa Zwier, and I'm in the Education Department, and I've been here for 3 years.
Apologies on the name.
It's okay.
Brianne?
Hi, I am Brianne Brenneman. I teach public health, and I started last year teaching, but years ago I was here as a student, so I also have that perspective.
Cool, thanks. Andrew?
Hi, I'm Andrew. I teach in the business department, mostly accounting, but I also do other things like Brianne. I teach ICC, which is a first year class. And I also occasionally lead our global SST program. I've been here 8 years.
Thanks. Anna?
Hi, my name's Anna Groff, and this is my first year teaching here at Goshen College. I'm in the communication department, and I teach public relations and journalism and general communication courses.
Awesome, thanks. Okay, so yeah, I tried to get a wide range of professors, so one of them would be near your area. So today, yeah, can you just share what's your favorite part about working with Goshen College students specifically? And yeah, if you've also worked with transfer students, I don't know. I don't know if there's a difference for you guys. It was, as a student, it wasn't different for me, but maybe there's a difference. Jeanette, sorry, you can go ahead.
Okay. Well, the answer is to yes, to transfer students. Yes, I've worked with them before. Some of it's different depending on what transfers over and what they're going after. So, but we work together and we solve the problems, and we have lots of support systems here at Goshen College. And I think in general, we're a supportive community. And we like our students.
To build off of Jeanette, yeah, we know our students. It's a small campus, and that I think is the best place to go for undergrad, because you are known, your story is known, people know your name, and we care, and you can come and talk to us about personal stuff as well as academic stuff. So for me, just getting to hear people's stories, each of your stories, and be a part of your journey towards your goals and your dreams is really meaningful.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That building relationships piece, just I love when students stop by my office to talk about their lives or to ask questions. And academically, for me, what I really like is that students, at least in the public health program, we focus a lot on working collaboratively. And so like today, we just had presentations in our health promotion and diverse communities class. And so it was really fun to see everything that students had worked on together and learned. And I had been walking with them through that whole process. And so again, that's kind of the benefit of going to a small college, is you get to build these relationships with community partners, but you also have a really supportive environment to do these kind of scary projects that you've never done before. And so we do that a lot in the public health program.
Yeah, and I mean, I think relationships are the most important thing in life, and that's a very big part of your experience here. And, you know, I always tell students, each person is much more complex than just maybe something that they're good at, whether that's athletics or music or a particular subject in school that you're good at. all of us are much more diverse and complex than that. We're not defined by that one thing. So I love connecting with students in all of the different ways that I've been shaped in my life, whether it was in athletics or music or school or my CPA work that I did before I came to Goshen. All the different ways that I've been shaped as a human being. Like, I love sharing that with other students and helping them figure out where they want to go. So I always tell them, maybe you'll take one accounting class with me, but it doesn't matter to me whether you do more accounting or not. What matters to me is that you find the thing that fits you the best, you're healthy and happy, and I do whatever I can do to help get you to the place you want to go. So, and that's only done through relationships. If you don't even know someone's name, you can't go anywhere with that. So.
All right, so you guys mentioned like relationships are really important. So what are ways that each of you kind of do that mentoring with the students? Do you guys, how do you build that relationship to be stronger and so the student can trust you and learn best?
I'll go first. For one thing, I'm an advocate of active learning. And so the classes aren't lecture style. We actually work together, and I work with my students individually and when they put them in teams. And so you get to know your classmates, and you get to understand where your strengths are in the subject and where you're not so strong. And then you actually take on the exciting task of, well, I'm a little weak here. Why am I weak here? And figuring it out, because all it is experience, right? So I engage my students in active learning, and it's a very close-knit, equalizing process that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. There's lots of opportunities in the classroom. Our class sizes are generally small, especially as you get into your major. And so you become a community with the people in each of those classes, and it does feel like a little bit of a family. I usually try to take a portion of each class for a space to build those relationships with each other, to share, to maybe do some check-in with ourselves, with each other. And so that's a way that we can just know what's going on with each other, whether that's academically or personally, and build those connections.
One thing that we do that's really similar to other higher ed institutions is you will all have an academic advisor, and that's within your major. And then if you have a minor or a double major, you'll have advisors in those departments as well. And so those are faculty that you are set up with really strategically, and you can find some other mentors that work in that same department, other departments, or in other pieces of your life. So whether you're in sports or in music, or if you need some additional support, we have an awesome academic success center here, and the academic coaches there can also provide you opportunity. And we have a really good health and wellness director, Liz Andes. And so that's one way that I mentor students, is really working to not just be their only mentor, but really connecting students to all of the resources that we have at Goshen. And I went here for undergrad, and then I went to University of Michigan for graduate school. And I've been, upon coming back to Goshen, I'm really impressed with the amount of resources that we have for such a small campus.
I am not advising students yet. I will be in the fall, but one small but concrete way that I've enjoyed getting to know students better and understanding where they're coming from is reading and listening to their products. So I'm a big fan of the award-winning radio station, The Globe, and the student newspaper, The Record. So I listen to that a lot, and I read the newspaper, and I love to run into these students and let them know that I liked the morning show, or that I appreciated their editorial. I'm also teaching oral communication right now, and we're wrapping up with TED Talks. And so these are topics that students have come up with themselves, that they care about. It can either be informational or persuasive. And so I feel like I'm just learning a lot and growing a lot from these students, and then looking forward to continuing to build those relationships and know more of them personally.
Cool.
Yeah, so my relationships usually start in the classroom. Like that's the first and best place for me to get to know someone more intimately. I make a huge effort to learn everyone's name by like day 2. Sometimes I accomplish it on day 1, but and then I push people to share who they are with me, like, and whether that's outside the classroom or in advising, really getting to know them. And even if they're hesitant to share more about themselves, I'm a big fist bumper. So I go watch them at their athletic games and catch them around campus at all kinds of things, because it's a really small campus. And so I continue to know them by name and check in on them throughout their time, even if they're no longer in my classes anymore. So be ready to get a fist bump from me if you're here.
Awesome, thanks. So can you guys each share a possible like internship or clinical that you guys have in your program that students would do? And like, yeah, just kind of how much advising do you do with Goshen College students during their internship? Are we holding hands? Are we kind of stepping back? Can you kind of explain that process a little bit?
In computing science and IT, our internships are paid, for one thing, and they're usually out in the community. People are working for real businesses in some type of CS or IT manner. We have an instruction brochure of how everything works, and we match the student with the internship, and then the employer is also involved in checking how the student is doing and making sure it's a good match and that they're really learning things and they're really part of the company or the organization that they're at. This past summer, I had 2 students who worked on an app for the City of Goshen Ashley Van Hurst Trail. And they created an app that made these natural areas accessible to people with different types of disabilities. And it was just a great thing to do, and it benefited the community too. So we do a lot of that too, and it's fun.
So in the education department, internships are built in throughout the program. You're out at your first one, May term of your very first year. You really can't learn to teach without being out in the schools and teaching. We also connect with opportunities like after school reading programs and the Boys and Girls Club. And so you get to be in a lot of different spaces with children and youth that are in the range that you're interested in teaching in, depending on your focus. And so you get kind of to slowly build up those skills. And then by your junior year, you usually have a pretty good idea of kind of what grade level or range you're most interested in. And then we work with area schools and pair you with a full-time internship the fall of your senior year. And yeah, you're part of the team at that school. You work under a cooperating teacher, and you also have a supervisor from the college that comes out and mentors you. So you have a lot of independence and opportunity for growth, but you also have all of the support that you need kind of wrapped around you.
One thing in the public health program, so by senior year, you'll be completing an internship, which I can give an example of that in a second, but we are really committed to community engaged learning at Goshen College. And so what that means is that you'll have lots of opportunities as a student here to work in partnership with organizations, not just in our local community, but global community. And so there are several classes in the public health program that get you those kind of more guided internship or community engaged learning opportunities, where there's more really clear assignments. You have a lot more guidance from me and from a supervisor at each of these organizations. And so one example of that is a class, even if you aren't majoring in public health, you can take this as part of your study service credit that all students at Goshen College have to receive. And this is a global health course, and it's online, synchronous, in partnership with Mennonite Central Committee. And as part of that, you get to complete an evaluation project for a non-governmental organization in another country and in partnership with them, with guidance from staff at Mennonite Central Committee that do this as their full-time job. And so that's one example that's embedded into our curriculum. And then this past year, we had a lot of really great internship opportunities. I have connections in public health, so I help kind of funnel students based on their interests, and students can make their own connections and also find their own internships. And so this past fall and this spring, she ended up using her internship site as her senior seminar project as well. And she was with The Source, which is kind of a local organization embedded within a larger mental health institution. And she was doing research and practice on mental health within children and adolescents in Elkhart County. And that fit really well with her interests in health education and health promotion.
Yeah, for my area, accounting and business, I mean, accounting has a very defined internship program that local firms or regional firms hire people to do the actual work that other staff people are doing. That's usually a semester long, it's usually full time. It's generally, they keep raising the wages because they are so desperate for more accountants. But I always tell students, you can't force yourself to do accounting or nursing or teaching or anything else just to get paid. You have to actually like it. So, but if you do like it, there's tons of opportunities. I mean, in fact, firms are like, Andrew, please generate more accounting graduates so that we can hire them. The companies are literally fighting over the students, not just from Goshen, but from the other colleges and universities too, because there's such a demand, but you have to like it. With a business internship, that would be more general. Then we really do a lot more exploration of what are you interested in personally? Like, what are your skills? I was talking to a student yesterday about what the word skills means. It doesn't mean that I've been trained to do this one thing. It means, what are you capable of doing, able to do? And that incorporates all of who you are, like your people skills, your writing skills, your little things that you've learned how to do. But it's more than just, well, I know how to do this one thing. It's all of who you are. And so, like, where does that best fit to where you can do the best you can do? It can utilize who you are the best. So having a lot of those conversations with students about what is the thing that fits you the best, whether it's accounting or teaching or something in some organization in any of these areas. So those are a lot of the conversations we have, and I think other departments have as well. But yeah, lots of opportunities for internships that are paid in the accounting side very well, like $24 an hour for an intern, which is crazy to me. But yeah, you got to like it. You can't force yourself to do something for money. It's not a good reason to only do it.
Internships in the comm department are significant as well, flexible in that professors often have organizations or media groups that are coming to us with internship opportunities. And then we like to think about who would be the best fit in the pool of students and kind of matching them. But students are also able to find their own. When I was a student here about 15 years ago, I returned to where I grew up in Pennsylvania and worked at a local morning newspaper there, and have very fond memories of what I was able to do during that summer internship. And I know there are students that are continuing to do internships at that paper and other similar papers like that. Film students spend a semester their senior year in LA with production companies, and I've heard that that's very exciting. in addition to these really important internships where you're off campus, the co-curriculars that I mentioned before, like the Globe and the newspaper and 5 Core Media, are also really huge pieces of the comm department. And circling back to the smaller school benefits, if you want to be on the radio or you want to be doing those things as a student here, you will have that opportunity. Larger programs, that's not necessarily a sure thing.
Thanks. If you guys, students have questions, you can either like unmute or put them in the chat. I have more questions, but obviously your questions might be better than mine. Also, please ignore the cat in the background. Yeah, I love working from home. So yeah, students, if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat or unmute. Yeah, so I'll ask one more question. So that gives you guys, if you want to come up with a question. So Goshen College, before this, I was showing them our credit evaluation, and you can see all the courses that we need for our major, but then we also were looking at all our GC core general ed courses. And there's a lot. Most schools sometimes don't have that many, but a liberal arts school does have a good selection. So why, if you just want to share the importance of a liberal arts education, yeah, I know that's a general question, so you don't all have to answer that. If one or two want to do it, that's fine. But if you could just talk more about that and why you chose to work at a liberal arts school.
I can give a good example about that. We have a game development minor here at Goshen College, and I was able to be a reader on this person's senior thesis, and he combined computing science, game development, and looking at how things like racism appears in video games, right? I mean, you couldn't go to another school that's just completely focused on computing science or engineering or maybe even accounting or nursing and take something outside of that, right? And so employers, especially in the computing field, are looking for balanced human beings because you need to have all of those flexible skills in order to do really good programming and to work with teams. And that's what liberal arts schools are really good about. So I really recommend a liberal arts school for computing science, even though it seems like I'm biased, but human skills are important.
Yeah, I would add, I mean, I think for me, it's always important, particularly for people who are entering college or are already just starting college, to define like what the term liberal arts means. And I don't want to give a deep definition, but I just want to make it clear, like it's not a political term. It's not like the liberals and the conservatives, like that's not what it means. All it means is a desire of institution. I mean, Harvard is a liberal arts institution, Harvard University. It just means that they want people to be exposed to a wide range of things so that they can be better equipped to be part of the world that they're going to live in, rather than doing something very narrow and specific, like that gets you really good at something technical. They want you to say, okay, and who are you going to be using that technical skill with? Just kind of like Jeanette said, you're going to be using that with other human beings. So you need to be able to work well with other human beings in whatever field that you're in. And I think that's really the goal, in my view, of a liberal arts education, is helping you understand other human beings better. What are all these different perspectives so that you're better equipped to work with other human beings and to be challenged to do things that are outside of just that technical skill. I mean, I had a student who did the global education in Peru. He lived for a semester in Peru. And when he had a job interview, he talked about how he had to navigate the public transportation in a city of 7 million people in another language. That has nothing to do with accounting, except that it has to do with how to adapt to a difficult situation and show that you're capable of doing that with people who are not the same as you. So yeah, it's just a development of these other elements about who you are as a human being that I think is important.
I'll also say a lot of what a liberal arts education does for you is it helps you develop a deeper understanding of who you are as a person. And I think, I don't know, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this as a professor, but your major feels like it is the end all be all to the rest of your life. And like you have to make this perfect decision. At least that's how I felt as a student. And it isn't. Like college is a time for you to be curious and to ask big questions and to explore different topics. And some majors lead you directly into a line of work. And maybe you go into that line of work for a while and then you switch. Maybe you stay in it the rest of your life. Maybe you never do that line of work. And so where a liberal arts education, I think, really provides benefit is that you learn a lot of what we call transferable skills. So just as Andrew was talking about, things like dealing with tough situations and being able to be resilient in those, learning how to navigate relationships, learning how to problem solve. All of these are really important skills that you need no matter what you end up doing. So in some ways, I think a liberal arts education, like that piece, is just as important as your major classes. And Goshen College really helps you balance that, to learn these transferable skills, learn who you are as a person, who you want to be out in the world, and then also some of these like really important concepts for certain careers.
And students here are really encouraged to stretch themselves and try new things. I direct a peace oratorical contest, which is essentially the premier speech contest here on campus. And this year, the 4 finalists, of course, there was a history major and an English major, but there was also a computer science and a physics and math major that presented amazing speeches. And there was a lot of energy with the diverse majors that they were bringing. And then among faculty, there's an emphasis on guest speakers from different departments sharing with other professors and learning and hearing from one another so that we're not stuck in our own world here.
Another thing that we do that would be connected to our liberal arts focus is on Wednesdays, we have time set aside at 10 o'clock where the whole campus gathers. And that's another opportunity. It's sometimes a convocation, sometimes a chapel. But in the convocation space, we hear from speakers on all different kinds of topics, and it might be something you don't think you have any connection to, and it's utterly fascinating, and there is some sort of link to you as a person or to your professional interests. So those kinds of opportunities where we're sort of all thinking about the same thing and then able to tie that into our classes or to what we're talking about to somebody over coffee become really meaningful. And same with all of the arts opportunities and theater and music. There's just so many strands. And because, again, the campus is smaller, you basically know about everything that's going on and you really can kind of partake in many things. And I would say that extracurriculars are a really good way to do that. I also went to Goshen and did like all sorts of extracurriculars, like reported on the TV and played ultimate frisbee one May term. And like, I'm not an athlete, I'm not a communications major, but there was space to sort of just try lots of different things and meet different people. And yeah, I think that makes you a well-rounded person and friend and partner and colleague, which is what we're going for.